the late great Robert Nesta Marley, been responsible for globalizing reggae, okay? Because of Bob Marley, okay, that is how reggae has transcended the world, okay? And all different ethnicities and cultures embrace reggae music because of their exposure to Bob Marley, all right? So that's right. So I had to find someone who knew Bob Marley personally, okay? Now, the gentleman that I have holding, all right, to tell us a bit about working with Bob Marley, okay? We all know who he is, all right? Because he's so esteemed in the reggae community, okay? And he is a walking reggae encyclopedia and reggae historian. Okay, the man that I'm referring to is Mr Copeland Forbes, okay, and he is the man behind the reggae stars, many of our reggae stars, okay. He's one of Jamaica, well, he is Jamaica's most prolific global manager, tour manager, artist manager, and reggae historian. Okay, and I have him holding in the background. Okay, he continues to be the driving force behind the globalization of reggae music for the past 51 years, and he don't even look like he's been around that long, but he has. All right, he has personal experience with working with Bob Marley and the Wailers, and he is going to share some of his memories of working with Bob Marley for us. Are you there, Mr. Forbes?
Hello there, how are you, New York?
All right. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule, do you know what I'm saying, to share time and talk with us about your experience with Bob Marley and the Wailers for the listeners of the English Connection right here on 93.5 FM. Now, Mr. Forbes, you and I have history together because we're both artist managers, okay? But, of course, I'm not as distinguished as you, all right? 51 years experiences in the industry, supporting and promoting reggae music. You're also an actor. You have so many awards. Do you know what I'm saying? Your bio is pages long. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just long. So just tell the listeners, right, how you started in music, all right, and how your relationship with Bob Marley and the Wailers began, because it's so much I can't even,
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to go over to Trenchtown, over to Culture Yard, because they're having a live broadcast there straight to IRFM, to around Jamaica, so they have me as one of the guest speakers, the guests on the program, to just like what you're doing. And last night was a big celebration down by the waterfront with the Marley brothers and Marcia Griffiths, Judy Moore, Richie Spice, Coco T, a whole bunch of people, and it was great. It went until 2 o'clock.
Wow.
So the celebration continues. It's not just for a day or two. It's for an entire week, because what Bob stood for is more than we can even imagine,
Right.
Because one thing I've always said, that when you have the world want to look like you, talk like you, dress like you, do everything like you, that means you are very, very important.
That's right.
And I was really privileged to really share some of those journey with him. Because actually I started out with them when they were the Wailers, before it was Bob Marley and the Wailers.
Right.
And we were doing the US tour at that time, and Brother Bunny had left the group temporarily. So we had Joe Higgs flown in to fit his position. For those who don't know who Joe Higgs is the person who actually taught them harmony structure and groomed them to be who they are today. So he knew everything about the Wailer. He was just like another Wailer,
Right.
And then a lot of people don't even realize it, that the Wailers were actually 6 people. Some people thought it's just Bunny, Peter, and Bob. Cause I was just listening to Simmer Down being playing on the radio, and Mike Fletcher, the bass player, is there, and I'm saying to him that, listen to that voice, listen to the harmonies. That's 7 people, He said 7. I said, that's the Wailers. If you listen to Simmer Down, you'll hear the harmonies in it.
7 people. Right? So can you name that? How so much?
Well, I'm going to tell you, besides Peter, Bob, and Bunny, you have Beverly Kelso.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You have Cherry Smith. Right? And you have Junior Brathwaite, who was the lead singer on It Hurts to Be Alone, where that wicked solo that Ernie Ranglin played, So he was the lead singer on that, but he was the first to migrate because he had to go to Chicago to join his family.
Okay.
And then, as Peter would say, when the journey gets hot and rugged, the girls couldn't take the pace, so they dropped out. And at some point, even Dreamy Vision, which is Richard's cousin, used to sing with them as the soloist. He filled in many times, either when Bob was away or when Bunny, went to prison.
Okay.
For a little draw herb. Them times the 18 months were just a little spliff. You know what I mean? Right. So Dreamy Vision was there filling in at the times. So the Wailers at time was like 6-7 people.
Wow.
Until it boils down to the magnificent three.
The magnificent three. So I hope the additional members of the Wailers, I hope they're credited and compensated for their work.
Yeah, well, all the stuff that they actually participated in, they have been credited from what I've seen, because I don't know if you know the late Danny Sims. He was really the first manager of the Wailers, long before Don Taylor. And being associated with him and partners in business, that's where I learned a lot of the stuff and the deep stuff from way back. Even when Bob was taken to Sweden with Johnny Nash to write songs for them, and then Johnny Nash at one point was known as the king of reggae. This was before Bob even actually broke big, because I actually toured with Johnny Nash as one of the dancers and danced on Soul Train. My entry on Soul Train was really with Johnny Nash, promoting reggae, because at that time he was known as the king of reggae then. But
really?
He was singing Bob Marley. He was singing Bob Marley's songs.
Right. But how could he be the king of reggae? He weren't.
Because at that time, Johnny Nash was the most known black face singing reggae on the international stage.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And people didn't realize that he was actually singing Bob Marley written songs. Guava, Jelly, Stir It Up, and all those songs was written by Bob. So Johnny Nash actually was singing them. So he was called the king of reggae. You know what I mean? And that's when I went to Soul Train. I was dancing and touring with them at the time.
You were dancing,
and and then when the Wailers now came in now to the US now, and they opened for Bruce Springsteen down at Max, Kansas City, a little place that holds about 200 people. But it's a big name club, and they opened for Bruce Springsteen that night. And I tell you the truth, when people saw the Wailers out that night, it was the first time they're actually seeing the Wailers in the raw. Because people were accustomed to them in their polka dot shirts and their shiny pants, and the shoes look like they take measurement in the water, or the shoes that keep malice with the shoes. Them gunmouth pants days and things. That's how it used to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were like emulating a lot of the 60s harmony reggae groups, like the Impressions, which was one of their greatest inspiration. So
let me ask you, Copeland. All right, we already know that you're a renowned manager, okay, and tour manager. So what I want to know is, what was the bridge between your music career, okay, because you started out as a singer yourself, right? What was the bridge between the transition in between you becoming a singer to managing artists, okay? Namely,
I tell you, something? It's ironic. It was because of Bob, right? While we were at Max, Kansas City, Bob said to me, "What month you born?" And I said, "August." He said, "What date?" And I said, "First." And he said, "What? Emancipation Day, man. You must be in the front. You must lead. You come under the sun." And he called me, Isachar. I can't remember the 12th tribe name, that it could be for somebody who born the 1st of August.
Right.
So he was the one that actually inspired me to take up the lead front, and said, as a Leo, you must lead. You must up front. So from then on, I took that battle. And, in the entertainment business, it was tough to get through those days, But as a manager and a dancer, it was much easier. So what I did now, when I started taking up the road management with the Wailers, and then moving on and on from one to the other, then I started managing the Mighty Diamonds, and then move up to Peter Tosh, Denis Brown, Black Uhuru, Third World, everybody. Then I just evolved into that whole management thing, and I just decided to follow my dreams and my sign to be a leader and to be up front. And that's why I ended up dropping my dancing career, dropping my musician career, dropping my... As a matter of fact, I love bass. And when I started to learn to play the bass, some big things come up on my thumb. And started soaring. I said, that's not for me. So I had to just take up the leadership. But it was really Bob who actually groomed me into being a leader up front, because he said, if you're born August 1st, you must be a leader. Right,
and obviously you must have displayed managerial qualities as well, because not because you're just a Leo, because you're going to be a leader, even though I'm an Aries and we're the head, you know what I'm saying? But you must have displayed some qualities that he saw in you that would be able to propel them, the Wailers, to the next level. He saw that you were...
He admired how I operated and how I operated on a professional basis. And then because of some of my past credentials from a youth, as being the mayor of Kingston for a day, travel with His Majesty when he came here in 63, and all those royal people, he just looked at me from a different standpoint.
Right.
So I learned a lot being around him and studying his action, because I even remember in 1980 when he was preparing himself to do that show with the Commodores, at Madison Square Garden. I was over at Essex House where he was holding up. He came into New York about 3 months before the concert, and he was promoting the single "Could You Be Love, Could You Be Love." He even put a float on Eastern Parkway when they have the carnival, a Bob Marley and the Wailers float,
Wow, I didn't know that.
He was so into getting that music crossover. And I tell you, when he played Madison Square Garden, opening for the Commodores, he got a lot of threats from outside people. I stood there and hear when some heavy name groups called him and said, "You are crazy. How are you going to be opening for the Commodores? Lionel Richie has all these big hits and so on. They're going to kill you. They're going to murder you." I remember his publicist came in, Charlie, and said, "Oh, you shouldn't do the show. I think you will forget it. And you know what he said? He said, the more they're telling him not to do it, is the more he wants to do it.
That's right.
Because he has already proved a point, because he played there the year before with Stanley Clarke as the opening act for him. And he sold out Madison Square Garden. A lot of people don't even know that. He sold out Madison Square Garden with this Stanley Clarke opening up. So and then he played the Apollo Theatre for 1 week straight, 2 shows a day. So he said he doesn't have to prove himself, but he wants to get the single "Could You Be Love" crossed into a different market. So if he can open for the Commodores for peanut money, if I tell you the money you get, you wouldn't believe it. Peanut money.
Right.
But his vision wasn't for the money, was just to win some audience. And I can tell you, I have the reviews from that show until this very day, that when Bob finished with those 2 shows, right, that's when Lionel Richie left the group after that, because I've never seen anything like that. And I heard the promoters, which involved Danny Sims and was supported by Percy Sutton, who said now he's ready to tour with Stevie Wonder. And that's when they were going to put him on the road with Stevie Wonder, and that's when the fate and day come when he collapsed in the park. I'll never forget all those times.
Wow.
I was close to him beside. I saw Bob refuse a $6 million offer 1980 to sign with a major record company who was telling him on the phone. And you know what he turned to me and said when he refused it? I said, "You're crazy, Scap." I call him Scap.
Yeah.
I said, "You're crazy. How can you turn down $6 million? You're mad." 6 million in 1980, is like 600 million.
Exactly. I was going to say, was he mad? What was his rationale for that? Yeah.
You know what he said to me, and that left my mind or my body. He said to me, "I prefer to be a big fish in a small pond than a big fish in a big pond." And I said, "What do you mean by that?" He said, "Listen, that label has all the big guns on it, and they just want to sign me to shelf me, right? But when I'm with Island, I get all the attention, and I'm the big fish in a small pond, and I would rather stay there." When he said that to me, that never left my mind to see how much this man was not just thinking about money, but thinking about the future and what's ahead of him, and the stamp and the that he's going to make for the future to carry on, that even in death he's larger than life.
Of course. I mean, he had the song of the century, do you know what I'm saying? And he is the richest dead person right now, do you know what I'm saying? Even bigger than Elvis Presley.
And that legacy is going to live on. Look, even when he plays Zimbabwe, a lot of people don't notice that when it was Salisbury and the flag was coming down and the Zimbabwe flag going up, Bob took his own money out of his pocket and paid for every single thing, paid his group, paid the airfares, paid the production, and brought down everything for that occasion.
Wow.
That occasion meant more to him than getting $20,000 or $30,000 from a promoter to come and play there. And right now, it is down in history that will never be erased. That concert in Zimbabwe, where the prisoners and the freedom fighter broke out of the prison when they were not dreaded in a Zimbabwe playing on the stage.
Wow. You see, we learned a lot from you today, Mr. Forbes, and we appreciate your input, because I certainly didn't know that he turned down a $6 million contract with a big wig label, and that he paid his own expenses to perform at the independence of Zimbabwe, which was formerly Rhodesia, right? No, yeah, right.
And he took peanuts money to go for the Commodores. Peanuts, trust me.
So money wasn't his focus. Do you know what I'm saying? It was about sharing his message in the music, and he had the wider vision. So, tell us something about Bob Marley that you knew, right, that most of us don't know. In your day-to-day experience and interaction with him, what is it you remember most about him that's touched you?
Well, I tell you something. He's the most punctual man I've ever seen on tour. He's the first one on the bus every day. He is the first one on the bus. When people walk in, artists, most of our artists, you have to go drag them out, come down, we're ready to leave. He's the first one on the bus because he sets that example constantly all the time. And then when we were opening for the Commodores, right, and we went to sound check, they gave him no sound check. They said that the Commodores are setting up lights and things. And you know what he did? He sat there from sound check and said he's not going back to the hotel. Those who have closed, go back for it. I'm staying right here. And then one of his keyboard player wire was missing. He gave away his pass and couldn't find it. And Bob went on stage without one of his keyboard player. Then he said, listen, this is the greatest moment in my life. And I'm not going to let one keyboard man stop me. And he walked to the stage when they said 10 minutes show time. He walked to that stage, and Ken Williams was the MC, and Ken Williams introduced him. No sound check, nothing, but he used that song. Natural Mystic. Natural Mystic was the song he used for sound check. Bass and drum, then guitars come in, then everything balanced, and then Family Carly rolled into it, and then the lights came up, and you could feel the vibe that night. I never seen Mick Jagger dance like that. When Bob got to Exodus, right, and started to tear the place down, Mick Jagger jumped up and said, Copeland, it's finished. And he segued from Exodus right in. He segued from jamming right into Exodus. Came off. He had 60 minutes, and he came off 45 minutes. And he went back and do an encore of Could You Be Loved? That when he rocked the Madison Square Garden is the first time I'm seeing 20,000 people with lighters in their ear and hanging up. That even when the Commodores came out on a stage which was lily white, the piano come from under the ground, spin around, so the people were still shouting, Bob Marley, Bob Marley, Bob Marley, during the Commodore set. And when I saw that, I said, something, this man is a special man that's sent here. And for a man to pass on at a young age of...
All right, hold on a second, Copeland. We're going to a commercial break here.
No, we're not going to go to a commercial break. We're just going to say goodbye.
Yeah, we're on 90.5 FM, good night. Okay, and we're going to continue on the English Connection on the TuneIn app or www.mixlr.com/the English Connection Media. All right, give us a call if you have any questions. 347-474-7272. And thanks for tuning in, guys. All right, so we'll see you on the other side of the 3 o'clock hour on the TuneIn app. All right, hold please, Copeland. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so those of you that's on 93.5 FM, thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week, same time. English, you got anything else you want to say?
No, man, support the sponsors, www.fabulous-touchspa.com. Give me a call if you have any questions, 646-523-8730 or 866-223-2414. Thanks.
All right, so don't forget, those of you, good night on MixLR. We welcome you and continue with us. And those of you on TuneIn Radio, continue. All right, Mr. Copeland, you're back on.
Hi, Mr. Forbes.
Take out the 500 here, cash.
Yo, give me some of that money then.
Hello?
Hi, Mr. Forbes. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, we want to continue. Just a couple more minutes of your busy time. I know you're on your way out. Okay, so you are truly a multifaceted man, okay?
Well, I'm ready.
All right, so you have a career in acting, okay? You've traveled the world with so many different artists. Share with the listeners some of the artists who you've had, whose career you've guided, you know what I'm saying, to stardom, aside from Bob Marley and The Wailers. Because you've worked with most of the top reggae acts in top acts in reggae. So share with us a couple of, for the listeners who don't know, how important you are to the reggae industry.
Yeah, well, I've worked with 90% of the artists, and not just in management alone, in road management, tour management, tour coordinating, management. I just in every aspect, you know. I mean, I can name it from the Wailers, Denis Brown, Peter Tosh, Black Uhuru, Third World, Luciano, Marcia Griffiths, the I-Trees. I mean, the list could go on and on and on and on and on. So because of that kind of experience that I have, it makes me easy to communicate and work with all the artists within the industry, because even some of the young ones, they're growing up now and they're learning. Last night I had people come up to me down at the Bob Marley show and said, oh, I like to watch when you do an interview on TV, because I sit down with my pen and I take notes of things that you talk about, and when I go and look them up, it is right on the button that you always say and blah, blah, blah. You know, so it gives me it's a great honor for me, you know, to over the 50 years that I've been in the business, because actually I celebrated my 50th anniversary in 2012 when we had Jamaica's 50th.
50, yeah.
But because I was so busy, I was commissioned to put together that Jamaica 50 celebration in London at the London O2. So it was I who actually put the whole of that thing together for Jamaica. So that took up a lot of my time, so I couldn't even concentrate on my personal self.
Wow.
You know, my book, Reggae My Life, it should have been out to then, but because I was so tied up, you know, I had to just put it off now and decided that I'm going to get it out later this year, you know, because it's too much. A lot of people around the world are just killing me for it.
Yeah, me too. We're waiting for that book.
I released some excerpts from it in Europe that year, you know, into Reggaeville. If they go on Reggaeville site in Europe and punch that on the internet, you can pick it up, you know, on their magazine, 212. You know, I released some excerpts from it, and some very interesting one that people are just down on me, that they want it, because this book is written different from the rest of books that have been written about reggae music. Although it's about me, but my journey in the business had to do with interacting and working with all the artists and the players, not just artists, musicians, players, media people in the music industry worldwide. And because of that kind of association, it enabled me it educated me, so I learned a lot, you know, even different from the reggae part of the music business, and being associated with people like Danny Sims, Don Taylor, you know, working around with the Rolling Stones, Kool and the Gang, you know what I mean, opening for them in Japan. So all of these things gave me a great deal of experience, and I must say, darling, that I must credit the players of instruments, the artists, the media personnel, and people like yourself who played such a great role in the development of this, our musical heritage that we call reggae music.
That's right.
You know, and I can say if it was because of you people, I wouldn't be able to survive 50 years of it. You know, because, you know, it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy road, as Butchie said. You know, planning all these world tours. You know, I mean, I put together Ziggy and Marley and the Melon Makers' first ever tour that they ever did when they come out of school. You know, I've done tours with the I-Trees. I put together a world tour with Luciano and everybody. So it takes up a lot of time, and a lot of people don't realize that 60 or 90 minutes that you may see that artist on stage could take 6 months
to put together.
Work,
that's right.
You know, to put all of that together. You know what I mean? And I must say I'm grateful for that opportunity, and grateful to be amongst and around all these great players in the music business, that we can make Jamaica be number one in the world in music and in sports.
Yeah, no,
we have the fastest man. We have the fastest man on land, the fastest woman in the water, and the most popular artist in the world. Jamaica.
That's right, Jamaica to the world. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, your gift to Jamaican reggae music, all right, globally has been significant. Okay, and there's no conversation about the rise of reggae music that does not include your name, Copeland Forbes. Do you know what I'm saying? Because you have been there at the beginning. Do you know what I'm saying? You've guided and nurtured the careers of so many great artists. Do you know what I'm saying? Too many to mention on this platform right now. And you've been, I mean, you're so acclaimed and you know, you're not simply just a manager or a tour manager. You're much, much more than that. Do you know what I'm saying? I know that government personnel have to turn to you when they need information about reggae music and put in certain I know that the Jamaica Tourist Board, I mean, you should be, I don't know if you had ever had aspirations in politics, but you don't even have time anyway, because you're too much around the music.
I'm scared of that.
But,
you know what I've been doing mostly now? I just came back from Australia, right? Every year I go to Australia and I do at least 5-6 lectures in reggae music and Jamaica's history at universities and music seminars. I did it in Thailand because I went to Bangkok, and I did it in Japan. And so that is one of the things I'm actually doing more so than anything else. You know, I leave the other areas of management and road management and tour management to my assistants and the other young ones that are coming up. And then I move to the next level of taking the music to a different level internationally.
And to preserve it.
Can know.
Yeah, and to preserve authentic reggae, you know, because although we're honoured, you know what I'm saying, and, you know, imitation is the most sincerest form of flattery, but the music is being diluted in certain quarters, and we want to keep authentic, genuine roots rock reggae music alive, do you know what I'm saying? And we're happy that you're travelling the world and giving history on the history on reggae music and keeping it pure, do you know what I'm saying? And make sure that the names never die. Bob Marley and the Wailers and all the other artists that you've represented over the years. Right. So we're grateful to you for that, do you know what I'm saying? And I hope Queen Elizabeth is aware of your contribution to reggae music, do you know what I'm saying? So that in future you will be honoured.
It was an honour travelling with Queen Elizabeth. The mother, the father, because I got the Duke of Edinburgh Award, Gold Award, when he presented it to me in 1966 out here. And that same year is when I travelled with His Majesty. I was selected to be His Majesty Cardor opener.
Wow.
And I travelled with His Majesty. So that's why I said when it comes to Selassie, nobody can tell me nothing about the man because I was with him, travel with him, and I know everything about it. It's not dreams or hearsay. I know it because I lived it.
Let me ask you something. So when you were growing up, right, I didn't get into your history where you grew up and whatever, but I mean, what was it about you, right? What is so special about you? Why you were chosen to perform those tasks? I mean, to travel with the Queen.
I will tell you what. You see, being a member of so many youth groups, because there was a lot of youth groups, and then I was a member of the Boy Scouts. And I attained the highest rank of Queen Scout. I got the Duke of Edinburgh Award. So whenever they need anything from the youth organization, they call on me. Was the first one. So my first duty was 1962 when Princess Margaret and Lord Snowdon came here to represent the Queen in our independence celebration. I was selected to travel with them as their official Cardor opener.
Wow.
And from then on, I kept doing it for the Queen Mother, the Queen, the Secretary General of the United Nations Youth Aunt, you know, and all the dignitaries, including His Majesty when he came here, you know. So I was really well known, and for somebody now, I was born in Jonestown and grew up between Jonestown and Trenchtown, you know. So I was like a symbol to Trenchtown that whenever the Governor General car would come down to Greenwich Street to pick me up, to take me up to King's House, the whole Trenchtown come out and wondering what the Governor General car, because you know, them days everybody run with this certain things unusual. And I'm coming out of my yard now in Trenchtown in my Boy Scout uniform and going to the car, and the car take me up to King's House, and I go out and do my official duty, and then the car carry me back to Trenchtown and drop me off. So, you know, because of my influence in Trenchtown now, a lot of youth came out of Trenchtown, right? Which is what I was responsible of getting them up and out, because they idolized me as a person from the ghetto, and then they saw me representing Jamaica. I represented Jamaica when I was 14 years of age.
Wow.
A young little boy, you know what I mean? And from then on, I went all over the world. I even shared tent, sleeping in the same tent with King Constantine of Greece, who was then Prince Constantine, and he later became King Constantine, you know. And we kept in touch, and when people hear me talking to the King of Greece, man, he said to me, how you know them people there? I said, because from my youth days, you know, so my youth growing up was responsible for a lot of what happened to me in my adult stage.
Wow, you are really, truly a role model. Do you know what I'm saying? That you, just to show that your environment doesn't have to show who you're going to be when you grow up, because look at you. I mean, you were outstanding from a child. Obviously, there was something about you why you were chosen to perform these specific royal duties. Do you know what I'm saying? So, but we're grateful for you, and we're very thankful to you for the history that you shared with us this afternoon. Do you know what I'm saying? And I definitely look up to you as an artist manager sometimes myself. Do you know what I'm saying?
You look up to a lot of people, English.
You're very funny.
Well, once you have got the education, that cannot be taken out of your head. That's one thing Bob always say, anything you learn, it cannot be taken away, right? It's something that you learn. And I tell you, being around Bob, he was like a teacher, an educator, a friend, everything. Just being around him. He had a magnetism that you just have to be drawn to him in every possible way, because he had that charisma that it attracts people to him, you know what I mean?
Right, very spiritual.
When he stands in an airport, like we in London heading to Paris, and people don't know who is this Rasta man. He's just a nice, quiet man standing in the corner, and everybody would pass and look at him and say, him just look different, like he's just somebody sent down to just save the world. And look at his music now. His music live on. That a lot of things. When he say, look, check out the real situation. Nation war against nation, where it all begins. Social destruction, the total destruction is the only solution. Look what's happening into the world. All of the things that him sing about.
That's
it's
right.
Coming to pass.
I mean, he was. I agree with you. He was a spiritual man, very humble, and I do certainly agree that he was chosen as a vessel by God or Jah, however you choose to refer to him, right, as your savior. But I definitely, you know what I'm saying, because he was inspired to write what he wrote, and definitely the Holy Spirit inspired him to do so, and he is so important. And I think, I mean, he was here, his short life on this earth was definitely for this reason, and so much of what he sang about back in those days is coming to pass now. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And very prophetic. So, I'm just grateful for his music. We're grateful for you, and we just give thanks for your time this afternoon. So we're gonna wrap that up now, Mr. Forbes, and hopefully I'll see you soon. I want to be in Jamaica for a couple of days to see some of what's the happenings for Reggae Month.
Yeah, man.
And,
as a matter of fact, I'm heading over to Trenchtown now,
I know you're well busy.
Take up this another part of what we're doing here now,
Yeah, but I know we're going to see you here on these shows accompanying another great act, probably maybe Grooving in the Park later on this year, or I don't know. But
we have a special thing set for Grooving in the Park that people are going to be knocked out this year.
All right, awesome. All right, don't say anything more.
What we did last year, so we're coming back this year with something fantastic.
Awesome. All right, we're looking forward to that. June 28th, 2015, over there at Royal Wilkins Park. All right, so blessings to you, Mr. Copeland Forbes, and I'm going to talk to you soon. All right,
yes, and I just want to use this opportunity. All my family, most of my family lives in New York, because I live in New York for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
I'm the only one out of the family come back to Jamaica because I just love my country. So I just want to hail up the Forbes family, my sister Sonia, Sylvia, all my nieces and nephew, Mada out up in the Bronx, who is the #1 DJ up in the Bronx. And yeah, man. So the family is just big, even music. Big. So I must bless up all the Forbes family in New York, and I'll see you soon. Right, keep the fire burning.
All right, bless up, Mr. Forbes. All right, nice talking to you. One love.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye bye.